Hello and welcome to this video about Jaguar XK8, the 2-question challenge. This is video 103 in my series of XK8 videos. And in this video, it's a video I did together with John Dee, a collaboration, where he asked 2 questions about our top tips for first-time buyers of Jaguar XK8s. Myself and John are not experts or mechanics. We're hobbyists, enthusiasts, and we're just playing around with the idea. And John did the video, and he's allowed me to make a copy and issue it on my YouTube channel with some of my own links. But thank you very much for John to allow us to collaborate. I had real good fun with this one evening this week. And so here's the video. If you're watching this video, you're probably interested in Jaguar XK8s or Jaguar XKRs, X100s. If you are, mind to suggest you subscribe to my channel by pressing the rectangular red subscribe button with subscribe written on it, clicking the bell to be reminded when videos are aired, and click the thumbs up if you like the video or thumbs down if you don't. And if you have any questions or comments, please ask them in the comment section below the video.
Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage. We've got another one of our sort of occasional series of conversations with other like-minded Jaguar folk and YouTubers. And on the other screen we have Damian, have O&D R Jaguar XK8. That is right, isn't it, Damian?
That's right, yeah.
He's got his channel. This channel is To the Garage. For anybody who's not watched this before, I don't know how you found us, but To the Garage is basically a Jaguar biased, very heavily Jaguar biased channel, looking at mods, improvements, and secrets of the XK8 in particular. And my videos are kind of streams of consciousness. Come along with me whilst I investigate, mend, fix, etc. Want to give a quick overview of your channel, Damian?
Yeah, well, just to explain O&DR then, in the beginning, it was Owen and Damian Richmond. So my lad, it was supposed to be a joint thing.
Yeah.
He's giving a lot of technical help for this, to be honest. So he's still in there, but he's a sleeping partner, as teenagers do, with the emphasis on sleeping.
Fantastic.
But it's quite good for the technical input. You know, like these kids, 15-year-old, know everything.
Yeah, well,
I'm quite happy to tell me.
We've set ourselves, in a previous conversation, a sort of 2 post-it note challenge. We've asked ourselves 2 questions and said, let's come up with 3 answers each on those. We don't know what the other one's written. We kind of suspect there's going to be some collision because I think we think the same way. And our 2 questions for today are, what would be our top tips for the first time X100 buyer, somebody who's not had one before? And the other one, which sounds a bit scary, if our X100s were written off, touch wood, everything, what are the 3 things that we'd kind of actively look for in our new car that would be different? And we also said we pick what model year that might be.
Yeah, I've got that.
And really, really struggled, Damien. I think we picked a really interesting but tough pair of questions. So our top tips for a first-time buyer. I give my first one first. You can tell straight away if it's a clash. I suspect it will be.
Go on.
I would say that if you only looked at one thing, I would say buy the car based on bodywork. The condition of the bodywork is by far the most important thing with an X100, in my opinion. And even if it's, you know, if it's a cheaper one out there or there's a dearer one or the colour's right, I would say, if you'd never had one of these before, go and get one that's nice from a bodywork point of view, because there's a world of pain to be had by having one that's wrong. Have you got the same one on there, Damian?
Well, it's sort of the same, like you say, you can tell if it's a nice car straight away, you know, just by the look at it. So my first one is hidden rust. Obviously, I've done a video on that one.
Absolutely.
And it's more because, to be honest, a lot of them look nice.
Yeah.
A lot of them look nice.
Yeah.
And it's a big issue because outside, I mean, I know Jaguar is famous for multi-layers of paint. The paint is so thick.
Absolutely amazing.
I know previously my company I used to work for made the body panels.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we started making panels for Nissan, people started worrying about the blemishes on the panel. There was that much paint, it covered everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rust on the outside isn't really an issue, but it's the rust underneath.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, all XK8s are rough underneath, except enthusiast ones. So my first one is hidden rust. So behind the front cross member, behind the rear cross member, support bracket.
Yeah.
Those are the main places.
I think it's far less of a problem, but it's the scary one. And the thing that people notice first probably is the seams at the back below the tail lights. It's cosmetic, but it's where people tend to go, oh, look, there's a little blister. And I think if you're starting to get blisters there, that's probably an indication that there may be other things to look at, the areas you've described. Yeah,
you get it around the XK8 badge as well, just around there. I mean, my car's got rust there, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did, I put some 2-pack epoxy behind it to stop the moisture getting there, and it stopped.
Yeah.
So I've avoided that repair at the moment.
Well, to echo your thoughts on the Jaguars really covering up how rusty they can be, my previous car, so PJ, which is Carnival Red, same colour as yours. I really, really loved that car, and it looked beautiful. And I was aware of a little blister here and there on the wheel arches and a little thing underneath that wasn't quite right. But it was only when I took it to a good body shop to have a quote, which really hurt, for getting it properly restored. Yeah. And the guy started to, you know, point at all the bits that I hadn't seen and knew where to look and where to pick. But you had that sinking feeling because the paintwork on them is amazing.
I mean, to be honest, when I bought the second car, because I had one written off.
Yeah.
And I bought this car, I got it quite cheap. Mm-hmm. And underneath was all rusty, you know, well, say rusty, freshly undersealed, beware.
Yeah.
Do not, that is just rubbish. Anybody who's undersealing a car is hiding something.
Yeah, yeah.
It passed the first MOT, and then I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this car a bit better than the rest. Okay, the outside is very similar to every other one, but underneath will be just as good. So I started actively taking it apart, and I found all the rust before the MOT.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. You've had one before. I've had one before. If you've got rust, you knew what you were getting into, and it's part of the hobby and the interest. But if somebody's buying their very first one,
yeah,
there are other things to go wrong. So buy a good shell.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my executive summary.
Yeah, another one of my favourites is the timing chain tensioners, and actually I would expand it, all the timing gear, all of it, not just the tensioners, because that was basically 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now we're 25 years on.
Yes.
It's all basically had it. It's all past its sell by date.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy, John Clemente. He did some investigation. He bought a very, very cheap car, and he took it all apart looking for a rattle.
Yeah.
And it had actually the primary, secondary tension had been done, but all the rest of it was completely shot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's the tops, the secondaries, the ones that are relatively easy to get at and change, but did cause genuinely quite a lot of issues with some cars.
Yeah, in the beginning.
The lowers, as you say, I mean, there's definitely a huge design flaw there in terms of a lot of plastic parts that don't last well, but fundamentally they were fine. But you forget, the car is 25 years old. Change everything.
That's it. Quite an expensive job if you have to have it done in a garage. So, like with the rust.
With
cam change, expensive.
it's well over £1,000 typically for full timing chain rebuild from a garage. I would say it's more like 1,500–1,600 quid these days. So
I think they start at 1,000,
Mhm.
and then you have towers. You got the sump off to get everything out. Water pumps.
Mhm.
Oh, we might as well do the starter while we're there. It just all.
Yes,
oh, and by the way, your air conditioning pump's knackered.
Yeah.
You just go on a mad tangent.
Yeah. So tensioners, make sure that you see evidence, a receipt or something like that, that they've been changed, or
Yeah.
use it as a negotiating chip to say, I want £1,000 off the price of this car no matter what. And then, yeah, if you're not that way inclined, send it to somebody else, get it done for the peace of mind, or at least get it checked out and
As you say,
give yourself £1,000.
Yeah, it's just knowing in advance when you're purchasing the car, you've got to offset that value.
Yeah. Back to mine, I would say, but my third item would be, if you're going to go out and buy yourself an X100, I would say, obviously test drive it. You should test drive every car, but test the gearbox fully. I think it's
I got that.
brilliant. I knew we were going to collide on a lot of this stuff. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing with automatic cars. Most people stick them in D, go forward, stick them in R, go backwards, and don't really ever think about them very much. And it's very much the same when people test drive automatic cars. It goes, it stops, etc. It's only when you've had a car for a little while, or it's an enthusiast's car like the XK8, that you start to use the gearbox, and then 6 months into ownership realize, hello, it's not right. So I said, test the gearbox, and you don't have to be technical to do that. Use the J gate, put it in all the gears whilst you're driving it. Make sure it makes no bleep, bleep, bleep noises when you're doing that. Make sure that it doesn't flash the D red, and it doesn't force the car to say limited performance or limpo mode, because nobody's ever put it over in the J side, and the switch gear insides up and all those sorts of things. So just use the J, turn the S, the sport button, on and off, on and off. Try and provoke it to go wrong. It should lock into the park position unless you put your foot on the brake. If it doesn't, there's something very wrong in there. Accelerate hard from a standstill. Somebody else's car, so don't destroy it. But if it feels like a slipping clutch in any way, walk away or ask for £1,500–1,600 off, because I've had that, and that's a drum split and stripping and slipping. So buy the car if it's perfect bodywork, but that's £1,600 off the price, and just where it doesn't clonk. But that could be a lot of other things as well. But if the gearbox is nice, I think there's not a lot else is going to worry you beyond what we've just talked about.
I had transmission as well. There's only 3 really, but if you're looking at an XK8, a phrase I'm trying to coin is best.
Yeah.
Body, engine, suspension, transmission. So bodywork and underneath.
Yeah.
You got the engine, the cam chain tensioners, and towers, that sort of thing, hoses. Suspension is the one that we haven't picked together. Obviously, that's my extra one. So if you got any knocks or rattles, it can get very, very expensive, because a lot of it you can't get out without having dropping all the suspension.
Yeah.
It's particularly on the rear.
Mm-hmm.
The rear.
Yeah.
CV joints, so the constant velocity joints in the back there.
Mm-hmm.
The diff, suspension, especially with Cat's dampers. They're quite expensive. I've got Cat's dampers on mine, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And before I actually rebuilt all the suspension, it was rock hard.
Yeah.
And having rebuilt it, it's actually quite supple now. And I think it works. There's no way of knowing if it works or not. Can't tell any difference.
Brilliant. Well, again, I totally agree with you on PJ, my first car, and it was the first XK8 I'd ever owned and done any distance in, and I thought it was quite firm, quite sharp,
Yeah.
I had an outing in it one day, and I heard a big bang come from the front, and the steering went a little bit vague, so I pulled over. And quick investigation inside the front left wheel arch, one leg of the top wishbone had broken, actually snapped through. I thought, how has that happened? Nothing's thrown up from underneath. Obviously, I ended up being trailered home because I wasn't going to drive it.
Yeah, the upper arm bushes, yeah,
yes.
the seize up, yeah.
The bushes had frozen, rusted, seized, you know, use your own phrases, to the extent that the suspension was working mainly on the flex in the system. And I must have hit a decent bump, and it just snapped the wishbone. And that took me, I'm going to say, 2 long weekends to get them bushes and pins out because they'd frozen into place. And of course, now I know they're really supple rides because it would probably been very, very stiff.
I put polys in mine. I've got poly bushes in there. That's the only poly bush on the car.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, I like the idea of doing the poly bushes, mainly because they're so much easier to fit.
Yeah,
I think the car has got such good suspension. I think it can wear poly bushes without giving it that harsh track car feel.
Yeah.
So
possibly
poly bushes maybe in the future for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, talking about the front suspension, where the cost adds up. I mean, here you go. So I drop the front suspension down. It's nice, all one unit. Take the brakes off, drop it down, one unit. If you can get all the bolts out, all the bolts will be rusted up.
Yeah.
You know, I spent 2 weeks trying to get them out.
Yeah.
And actually just drilled them out in the end in quarter of an hour. You know, but you're trying to be gentle with your little baby, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I dropped it all down, and what turned out to be rusting behind the wheel arch, rusting behind there, turned out to be all the suspension bushes, the hydraulic engine mount, the cross member mount. The datum pin for the car started falling away. I mean, that's the thing you got to watch. That rust behind the front cross member.
Yeah.
Just to the left of that, going rearwards in the car, is the main datum for the car on the left-hand side.
Yes.
And that literally was a point where I'm going to lose my datum. I thought, well, if that's gone, you know, the whole thing could be crabbing or anything.
I mean, they can weld anything, but put it back together, is it ever going to go in a straight line ever again?
Is it all lined up correctly? Yeah.
If you want a tip for probably the least stressful X100 experience, then if you can afford it, by 2002 or 2003, which is a bit of a jump up to the 4.2 engine. It doesn't bother me, those sorts of things, because I know the car, but if you've never had one before, then 2002 onwards gets some of the timing chain things, as we talked about before, sorted, upgraded, water pumps, just a little bit more security, if you like. And the 4.2 engine cars have essentially got a lot of tweaks and mods, so more bulletproof. But they do have a lot of emissions gear on them that I don't like.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you got a balance between, you got complexity is up, you know, refinement, handling power is up.
Yes.
But, you know, complexity is not good on these cars. I mean, you've got all that arts, you know, the passenger sensing. Oh my God, that's just asking for problems.
So I think that's given a decent coverage of some good tips for a new X100 buyer. I think I'd like to wrap this section off by saying, though, they are not complete disaster zones, these cars. We're sharing our experience of kind of the worst things to look for. But
what I would say is go in with your eyes open.
Yeah.
They're lovely, beautiful cars to drive, you know, but there's so much support. You're out doing the videos. There's loads and loads of books out there, which I'm doing a bit about at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, there's no excuse for picking up a rough one.
Yeah.
No excuse at all, unless it's for pennies. No, it's the cost.
Yeah.
Cost goes up, you should be have less trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could buy one for 2-3 grand. You know, you're going to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, we'd all like to watch the videos, is what I say. So they are great cars. We're certainly not knocking our favourites, because they are our favourites. But yeah, go in with your eyes open, as Damian said. I think that's good advice. Okay, so now the bad news is our cars have been written off again in Damian's case. So we said we'd come up with 3 things we'd change, or spec changes, or look for, you know, what would be different. Three elements. Do you want to go first on this one, Damian?
Yeah. Color. I think first thing is a different color. I've had 2 red ones. 2
Yes. Carnival red.
The metallic red. I've carnival red. Yeah, and yeah, okay. If I was to get another one, I wouldn't want another red one. I did have my original car written off, KFC.
Yeah.
And it was carnival red.
Yeah.
And when I bought another one, the same color, which was the right price. It was all about price, to be honest. Because I'm at the lower end of the budget. I'm at the basement. But yeah, I'd like a different color. A different color.
Yeah. What color have you got in mind?
Oh.
If you were going to have to pick the next one, not on what you see, but as in, I'm going to write it down and go look for it. What would be the color you'd go for?
Well, I've already red, Phoenix red.
Phoenix red, good choice.
I like red cars. Phoenix red.
I think.
But unfortunately, you see, at my price band, Phoenix red was not available.
No, it's just out of reach. And I think most of the Phoenix red cars I've seen have been XKRs.
Yeah, well, basically, it was only available on XKRs.
Ah, there you go.
Until about, I think it's, I'm doing research on that at the moment. I think it's about 2002.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's in the Haynes book.
Yeah.
I had a good read of that. That's great. That's another video.
And what about interior?
Very expensive. But
what colour interior would you go for?
Well, I love my black sport cloth interior. I really love that.
Yeah.
In my original car, I love that. But then when I was reading all the specs, that is actually the cheapest car.
I know.
That's the lowest level of spec.
Don't care.
You don't get retracting mirrors.
No.
with cloth sport, with leather sport, you do. In a cabriolet, having a cloth on the base of your bottom is an advantage.
Yes, it's going to be.
Especially if you live somewhere hot.
Yeah. So I'd actually got down as my top change would be a colour change. Not because I don't like what I've got. I had a carnival red car like yourself. Loved it.
Yeah.
Would have stuck with that car if it wasn't been for its issues. I was eased into the new car, lured by the colour change this time because it's aquamarine mica for those who've never seen Purdy. So
it's a lovely colour.
It is, and it's one of the more rare, more unusual colours. You don't see so many. So for all those reasons, love it, fabulous. But I got a bit of a hankering for amaranth.
Amaranth. That's like a grey, is it? A grey, blacky grey? No, a purple.
Aubergine purple. Yeah. And I've only ever seen 2 in the real life. I know that there's quite a few subscribers who've sent in pictures to me of their amaranth cars. It's just one of those colours that it sounds appalling. I want a purple one.
Yeah.
But it is quite dark. It is very sparkly. And it's one of those colours that you saw it in a brochure and you go, oh, we couldn't. So it didn't get ordered very much. I would like an amaranth coloured XK8 if I was given complete free rein. So that's a matchup. And I also wrote down I'd have an ivory interior, but I would like cloth, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get one.
No. They stopped it as well, I think. They stopped it. Nobody's buying it.
No. So I'll go with my next one. I put that I would like the R Performance Pack. So
yeah.
I know where you're going to go with this. The finicky wheels. So the R
Performance well, I've got that down as number 2.
Yeah,
that's number 2 for me.
Yeah,
not BBS alloys.
Not BBS. So I've put in the R Performance Pack, which for those of you not yet familiar, would give me the cat suspension, which Damian said is not necessarily a good thing to have extra complexity, but I'm beyond that now. Would give me the Brembo.
Yeah, our performance is different because that is just a beautiful idea. It's a superb idea. It's lowered 10 millimeters lower.
Yeah.
You've got thicker anti-roll bars.
Yeah.
You've got specially tuned steering.
Yeah.
It's just little refinements.
Yeah.
It's not radical.
No.
Not radical.
No.
But the problem is you have to have BBS alloys with it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And again, BBS alloys, like for yourself, for me, are a love-hate thing. I genuinely think they look amazing. I love the stainless steel trim around the edge to look at. I love the bolt holes.
But that is the problem. That is one of the problems, John.
You curve
that stainless steel rim. You take that to Quick Fit.
Yep.
They're going to cost you £90 per wheel by the time you come out.
Yeah, because they will destroy them. They don't understand. But that's a wheel trim, but it doesn't come off, and it's delicate. Don't touch it. They just don't get it. And you've also got the bolt-in valve for pumping them up on.
Yeah, it's a faff. It's a real faff.
But they look amazing. So,
yeah, they do. But it's looking historically. I mean, these cars were, this 20-inch alloys was about in 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2000. 20-inch alloys. Bear in mind, your fastest BMWs at the time were having 18-inch wheels.
Yeah.
Jaguar came out with a 20-inch.
Yeah.
So I think it was something to do with the manufacturing at the time.
Mm.
It needed to be split piece because of the.
Yeah.
But these days, technology's moved on. You don't have to have that complexity.
Yeah. So what's the next item on your list?
All right. Okay. I've got something different. Something different. What I mean by something different is like, maybe a Paramount. Paramount. Bit of Arden, Silverstone, X100, X400. Special editions. Oh, yeah. I love them. Love them. Can't afford them.
No,
completely. And as a Silverstone on the eBay or is it Auto Trader, it's like 25 grand or something. You got to be joking.
Yeah.
Is basically the Silverstone second phase Silverstone.
Yeah. Very, very nice.
It's 2001 model year. It's got the bumper with the flush fitting fogs, dual rear lamps, and it's got all the business under the bonnet. It's got everything you want.
Yeah.
And that was a point. Year 2000 was I think the top of the special. After that, all they added was more. Was it speed sensitive cruise control and it's lots of tech. But as far as the car as a car, it was basically well defined in 2000, 2001.
Yeah. I've actually got on mine as well the better audio system.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had any experience of that, but I can only imagine it's a good setup.
Well, I've had several other Jaguars that have had the higher end hi-fis in. I've got to say they have been really remarkable. Typically in XFs and XJs, not XKs, but it has been a case of, I want to go out sit in the car and listen to that piece of music. They've been so good. Whereas the systems in our car, and I think we both have the same bass unit, it's an unamplified head unit running some nice standard speakers, and it's all very adequate. It makes a noise. But it's not an experience to listen to music in them.
No.
So
to be honest, I have the bass. I've got the bass audio, and I'm very jealous of people with Harman Kardon in particular. Although it went to Alpine later, I'm not sure Alpine has quite the same cachet as Harman Kardon. But
so what we said we'd kind of wrap this up with is, what was the model year that if you were going to hone down and target in? And I already suspect we're heading in a similar direction here because of the previous conversation. But again, if you go first, Damian, what would be your target perfect model year?
Obviously, I've done the model year video, so I've studied this in detail. And the one thing that stuck out for me in the year 2000, model year 2000, June 1999, brake booster, and 325mm disc standard. Well, there you go. Sold. And there's also some body stiffening. I think at that point, all those little things that you've talked about in the videos, the little, the brakes being a little bit soft, the cabriolet being a bit
more floppy,
the chassis not being a bit floppy. It's all been addressed. All they got side bracing in and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's what I was saying before. 2000, 2001 is where the gestation of the vehicle's just hitting a peak. After that, it's all frills. It's all frills, to be honest. Not that they're not bad. They're good frills. They're good frills. But
I already shared with you via an email, as you know, but I really found this one difficult, and I found myself arguing with myself hugely.
Right. Okay.
So I've got a 1996 car.
Yeah.
And I actually targeted that. I wanted as early as I could get. And I've really enjoyed that, and am really enjoying.
But if I'm going to have a change, I'm going to have a model year 2000 that has still got the original Mark 1 nose. I have a huge preference for the recessed fog lights and the more delicate nose on the car.
I think that's where you got 2000. Model year 2000 is the edge of that, is the end of that shape. Then after that, you've got flush fogs, arts, airbags in the seats, airbags everywhere else. That's all going to fail, by the way. What I was going to say about this model year was something that Gary pointed out was in his XK8 Bible, which I think we ought to mention.
Yes.
Is the quantity of those final cars is quite low.
Yeah.
There's only 4,000, I think 2005, 6 model years actually made at the factory. When you look at it, the rarity is a bit of okay. Yeah. And okay, everything now, obviously you got a car that's 10 years older than the newer one. Yeah. But in 10, 20 years time, they're all going to be old, aren't they? What's 10 years when when something's 40 years old?
Now, I'm really pleased we've sort of agreed on that golden goose of a car, because again, I could have gone either end of the spectrum for different reasons, but
there is a problem, John. There is a problem in that you're not going to be able to afford one now because everybody's going to buy that model.
Damn.
You've just put the price. You've just put the price up. One thing that makes me laugh is you see these cars advertised, and X100 or 100 edition.
Yeah.
Some of those special editions are still hidden in the marketplace.
Yes.
Now an X100, I believe, is the same as a Silverstone.
Yeah.
All but name.
Yeah.
So there's those hidden gems out. They're probably not hidden now, but I'm not sure they got the steering but they got the BBS alloys. They've got the brakes. And I think they've got the suspension pack. But I'm going to try and do a bit of research on that.
We've got to be careful we don't demystify this too much. So listen, these are terrible, terrible cars. You should never ever buy them.
No.
Damian.
Not till I bought mine. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up now, folks.
Okay.
First thing I'd just like to say is if you're interested in Jaguars X100s, then it's still worth you getting hold of a copy of Gary VanRemortel's. I always worry if I'm saying his name wrong. Sorry, Gary. XK8 Bible. And that's available by going to www.tothegarage.co.uk. And if you follow the link to useful documents, you'll find it near the top of that list. So
before I finish then, John, there's another book.
Yeah, sure.
Value for money. I know, I don't get any money out of this book. This book by Nigel Thorley, he's just a genius.
Yeah.
He's a Jaguar genius. And he's written this book. If you're going to buy one for the sake of £15 or something, either £10, this basically is a focused book about buying one.
Yeah.
If you buy an XK8, like I did, an idiot, without buying this book, you're either very keen. Yeah, you're an idiot. Yeah. You're very keen on doing work on cars. This will save you a lot of money. Yeah. And
I've got a copy of that as well, and can absolutely back that up. It's a really good, nice, straightforward, well-written guide to all the.
And there seems to be still plenty of them around. There's some of these books You know, I've just bought that Haynes Nigel Thorley's You and Yours XK. I think it was at £80 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's worth every penny, to be honest. But for what I like about, you know, history and model years and that sort of stuff, it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
But it does emphasise Nigel Thorley. What a guy.
Please consider subscribing to the garage. You know, do the normal stuff, press the little red subscribe thing and do the thumbs up and the little bell icon and all that sort of good stuff. It helps out the channel. And Damian, I'm sure, would like to do the same. So where should they subscribe to, Damian?
O&D R Jaguar XK8. And it's the and symbol rather than and.
So there you go. Thank you very much, John, for inviting me to take part in that collaboration, that little YouTube video. Superb, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you find the information useful. Please like, comment, share and subscribe if you'd like to see more XK8 videos.